Hello friends, welcome. This is the first video tutorial for making of our 2D Street Fighter game in Scratch. And first of all, let me tell you what we will learn in this whole tutorial series. And in this tutorial series we will be learning to make our game in Scratch more professionally by including menus, difficulty selection options, and finally the game itself. And in this particular video I will guide you through on making of the menu scene for the 2D fighting Street Fighter game and the difficulty selection option as they appear at first when we start up our game. Now enough talking and let's get started. And here in the screen you can see a freshly cooked Scratch project where we have got just a cat sprite and everything looks empty and lonely. Now let's click on this cat sprite and rename it as game. Now let's go to the costume tab of the selected sprite. We can see two costumes here. First, let's click on the paint icon from the options for adding costumes and let's make an empty costume. Now let's get rid of these default cat costumes as we don't need them. And now we have made the most loneliest game of the year. Okay, now let's go to the codes tab and from the events block, drag my personal favorite when green flag click block inside the script area. Next, let's drag the broadcast message block from the same events block and attach it with the when green flag click block. Now let's create a new message broadcast by clicking on the drop down of the broadcast block and select the new message option. Here we can see the new message pop up and in the text box we can write our new broadcast message and we are going to write here show menu. And now when we start the game by clicking on the green flag, we'll broadcast the message show menu everywhere in the game. Now it's time for us to make the menu sprite. Let's select the sprite icon from the bottom right corner of the screen. Let's choose the paint option as we will make our own custom menu screen that will match our game's theme. Now let's rename our newly created sprite as menu. Now let's click on the costume icon on the bottom left corner of the screen and click on the upload button and let's upload our own costume for the menu. Okay, let's adjust the costume to fit on the screen and make sure that the position of the costume is set to X0 and Y0. If you want the costumes that are used in the game, you can comment down below and I can provide you the link. Now let's click on the codes tab and go to the events block and find a when I receive a message block and drag it inside the script area. And be sure to select the show menu message. Now let's click on my blocks and click on make a block. Make a block pop-up will show up and we are going to make our block name show. After naming our block, let's click on OK. And let's drag the show block from the side panel of my blocks and attach it with the when I receive show menu block. Now anytime the menu sprite receives the show menu message, whatever blocks we attach in the defined show block gets executed. Next, let's go to the motions menu, drag a go to XY block, make sure the X and Y values are 0 and attach it with the defined show block. Now, if the menu receives the show menu message, it will position itself in the center of the stage. Okay, let's go to the looks menu and find out the show block. Go downwards, find out the show block, drag the show block with the defined show block. And if our menu has been hidden, now it will be shown when it receives the show menu message. Okay, it's time to add a start button to our menu. For our game, we'll be designing our own start button. So let's create our own start button sprite. Go to choose a sprite option and click on paint. Let's rename our newly created sprite as a start button. And here I go guys, I start painting my own start button. And you guys paint yours too. I hope it's better than mine. Once I finish on painting the start button costume, I will right click on the costume and duplicate it. For the second costume, I'll just add a small shadow on the edges of the button. Now these two costumes can be switched rapidly so that it looks like a blinking button. You guys can also adjust the size of the button as your preference. For my case, I'll just leave it as a 70% and I'll just drag it just where I want. And here we go guys, the start button looks great. It just matches the theme of our start menu and we are off to a very good start. Now let's make the start button working. Let's click on the start menu and drag when I receive a message block. Make sure show menu message is selected. Then let's go to my blocks and make a block. We'll call it show as we did same for the start menu. Next, let's drag the show block from the my block panel and attach it with the when I receive show menu message block. Next, let's go to motions menu and drag a go to XY block and attach it with the define show block. And now we go to the looks menu and drag a show block inside the script area and attach it with the go to XY block just like we did during making of the menu. Next, let's drag the go to front layer block as shown in the screen. This block prevents our button from being overlapped by the menu screen. Now to make the blinking button effect, let's go to control menu and drag a forever loop. Then let's go to looks menu and drag a next costume block inside the forever loop. Now let's go to control block and drag a wait block below the next costume block. Let's make the wait time 0.3 seconds and now our start menu clips and blinking.
Yay!
Now we need to make the game start when we click on the start button. For that, let's go to events menu and drag a when this sprite click block. Let's add a sound effect for the start button. Let's click on the sounds tab. Now let's search for the suitable sound effect. Let's click on the effects and let's add the magic spell sound. Let's go to the chords tab and let's go to the sound menu and drag the start sound block. Make sure the magic spell sound is selected. Now if we click on the start button, we'll hear this beautiful sound effect. Awesome. Okay, now let's also broadcast a message when we click on the start button so that all the components of the game gets the message when the game has started. For that, let's go to the events menu, drag a broadcast a message block. Now let's create a new broadcast message and we are going to call it reset game. Now if we click on the start button, all the game components will get the reset game message. Next, let's drag the when I receive a message block and make sure the reset game is selected. Now let's click on my blocks menu. Let's make a block and we are going to call it reset game. Now let's attach some of the blocks with this defined reset game block. First of all, we are going to attach a hide block with this defined reset game block. So let's go to looks menu and drag a hide block. Also, let's go to the control block and drag a stop all block and select stop all other scripts in this sprite so that the blinking code inside the forever loop also stops, just to prevent CPU from doing unnecessary work. Now let's go to the my blocks menu and drag a reset game block from the side panel with the when I receive a reset game message block. Now if we click on the start button is going to disappear and also is going to send the message reset game to all other components. Okay, let's also hide the menu screen once we press the start button. For that, let's click on the menu sprite. Now let's go to the my blocks and make a block and we are going to call it reset. Next, let's go to the looks menu and drag the hide button. Now let's go to the events menu and drag when I receive a message block and make sure to select the reset game message. And finally, let's go to the my blocks menu and drag the reset block and attach it with the when I receive a message block. And now when we click on the start button, both the start button and the menu will disappear. Good job guys. Now it's time for us to make the difficulty selection buttons, and for the buttons too, we will be designing them with our own hand because the hands never disappoint. Okay, let's click on the choose a sprite icon and let me just click on the paint icon, and now let's quickly rename our sprite. I'll just call it easy, and now let's design our button. I'll be using different facial expressions for the buttons design. Make sure you add your own twist to it. We have designed the first costume for the button guys, and let's quickly rename the costume. I'll just call it normal. And now let's duplicate this costume. Let's quickly rename this duplicate costume. Let's rename it as selected, and for the selected costume I'll just make its border thicker so that it looks distinct from the first costume. And that's it guys, we have designed our difficulty selection button for the easy mode. Now let's make our difficulty selection button work. For that, let's go to the events menu, grab a when I receive a message block and select show menu message. Next, let's go to my blocks and create a block and let's call it show. Next, let's go to the motions menu, drag the go to XY block and attach it with the define show block. Next, go to the looks menu and drag the show block and attach below the go to XY block. Also, let's drag a go to front layer block as well, just to prevent our button from being hidden behind the menu screen. Next, go to my blocks and drag the show block and attach it with the when I receive a show menu block. Now let's go to control menu and drag a forever loop so that we can make a nice hover effect for our button. Let's also drag an if else block inside the forever loop. Okay, let's go to sensing menu and drag a touching mouse pointer block inside the if condition of the if else block. Next, go to the looks menu and drag a set size block and place it inside the if block, and let's set the value to 130% so that our button grows when the mouse pointer touches it. Again, let's drag the set size block inside the else block and keep the value 100% here so that whenever our mouse pointer is not touching the button, the size stays the same. Great job guys, our UI feels amazing now. Okay, one last thing guys, we need to make something happen when we click on the difficulty selection button. For that, let's go to the events menu and let's drag a when this is sprite click block, and let's go to the sounds menu and drag a start sound block. So we have selected the pop sound, so if we click on this button, we will just hear a pop sound. Next, let's also go to the looks menu and drag a switch costume block and make sure the costume name is selected. Let's also drag another switch costume block and place it below the show block. Here select the normal costume name, and now if we click on the difficulty selection button, it will switch to selected costume. Okay, let's press on the start button and see what happens. So we can see all the menu and the start button are disappeared, but our difficulty selection button is not disappeared. So let's fix that. To fix this issue, let's go to the events menu and drag a when I receive a message block and make sure the message is selected reset game. Next, let's go to my blocks and rename our block reset. So on reset, we are going to hide our difficulty selection button. For that, let's go to the looks menu and drag the hide block and attach it with the reset block. Next, let's go to the control menu and drag a stop all block, and let's select stop other scripts in this sprite so that whatever is inside the forever loop will also stop while we hide our block. Next, let's go to the my blocks menu and drag the reset block and attach it with the when I receive or reset game message block. Okay, now let's click on the start menu and see if everything hides. Obviously, what could have gone wrong? Now let's make the medium and hard difficulty selection button. For this, we just have to duplicate the easy difficulty selection button, then rename the sprites accordingly and also modify their costumes a little bit, and every code stays the same except for the go to XY block. Make sure you replace the block with their own proper positions, and that's it guys. That's how we make a proper menu with a difficulty selection button guys. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe my channel, and feel free to comment out your queries. Thank you guys.